The rain lashes the noisy Beirut street, washing away the grime but not the shadows. In a cramped, candlelit church, a woman, high heels, blonde highlights, a golden cross dangling, kneels at the altar, her lips moving in silent prayer. But tonight, her prayers are not for forgiveness. Outside, an unmarked van idles, the engine humming beneath the deluge. Inside, a Mossad commander studies her photo. Her real name, not the one on her passport, burns in red ink. On an encrypted channel, a single word crackles out: execute. What no one in that church knows, what even she has yet to realize, is that her years of deception are seconds from collapse. But how did Israel's most secretive agency even find her? And why, for years, did she pass every test, fool every friend, and almost get away with it all? For most of the world, Mossad is an enigma, a ghostly force shifting through global events, toppling regimes, rescuing hostages, and defining the boundaries of espionage. But in the shadowy war between Israel and Hezbollah, the rules are darker, the stakes higher, and the players more cunning. This is the story of how Mossad, facing one of its most difficult, confounding operations, dismantled a meticulously built false identity, exposing a Hezbollah agent who lived among Christians, worshipped as a devout believer, and almost slipped weapons and intelligence under the radar of the most surveilled region on Earth. How could someone rewrite every detail of their life, accent, baptismal records, family photographs, and live as a devout Christian while secretly serving Hezbollah's darkest ambitions? And what secrets did Mossad uncover about the world of modern espionage that changed the stakes for the Middle East forever? Strap in. This is not a simple tale of double agents or crossed loyalties. This is a journey into the heart of deception, where trust has a price and identity is the deadliest weapon of all. To understand the magnitude of this operation, one needs to appreciate the web stretching between Israel's intelligence services, Hezbollah's militant wing, and Lebanon's volatile sectarian politics. Since its formation, Hezbollah has blurred the line between religion, politics, and warfare, serving as both a regional social movement and Iran's lethal proxy against Israel. After the disastrous 2006 Lebanon war, Hezbollah doubled down on its covert operations network, creating cells with surgical precision, embedding deep cover agents in every sector of Lebanese society and, allegedly, far beyond. For Israel, every agent is a potential ticking bomb, every network a dagger aimed at its heart. But religion in this region is more than faith. It's a passport, a shield, a language of both trust and betrayal. In Lebanon, where Christians, Muslims, and Druze live in uneasy proximity, infiltrating religious communities requires more than just a forged document. It demands psychological warfare, lived experience, and the kind of trust that only comes from the confessional. What Mossad discovered was not just a plot, but a masterclass in modern spycraft, one that nearly cost lives, altered the region's intelligence game, and sent shockwaves through the clandestine world. At the center stands Maria Haddad, a name that echoed through Beirut's Christian circles as an educator, charity volunteer, and regular parishioner at St. George Cathedral. She spoke perfect Arabic and fluent French, told stories of childhood in the Bekaa Valley, and attended Mass with meticulous devotion. Her friends whispered about tragic losses during the Civil War, a supposed past as a Maronite Catholic in a divided village. But hidden beneath the layers of identity was Samira Nasser, a Shia Muslim from southern Lebanon, handpicked by Hezbollah's secretive Unit 910 for her linguistic genius and psychological cunning, a perfect chameleon. Her handlers referred to her only as the White Orchid. On the other side, Mossad's Beirut station was led by Eitan, a veteran operative haunted by the ghosts of failed missions and obsessed with patterns the world missed. His team's mission was not only to track Hezbollah's known militants, but to hunt for the ghosts, spies cleverly embedded in Lebanon's social tapestry, impossible to detect by ordinary means. Also lurking in the background, Father Antoine St. George priest, who thought he saw in Maria a devoted parishioner, and Jacob Cohen, an undercover Mossad source who first spotted a pattern. A gentlewoman, always present when things went wrong, always listening, never speaking too much. These are the faces in our story, each driven by loyalty, ideology, survival, each with secrets that could mean death in the wrong hands. And with each passing week, the stakes grew higher. In early 2017, Beirut was both beautifully alive and dangerously tense. Following a spate of car bombings, Israel's intelligence services increased their focus on Christian districts, places traditionally viewed as immune to infiltration. It began as routine surveillance. Mossad operatives noted the odd frequency of certain Christian charities receiving anonymous donations, and the uncanny way minor security leaks always followed church-related events. Most wrote it off as coincidence until Jacob, their deep cover asset, flagged Maria Haddad, who seemed to orbit incidents without ever being in the center. Over months, they gathered behavioral data, her patterns of movement, phone habits, meetings with church officials and various visitors from different regions. She never made mistakes, not until one Christmas Eve fundraiser, where she was seen exchanging a package with a fragile, older woman who, days later, left for Syria. The package wasn't money. It was a micro SD card disguised as a prayer slip. This was the crack in the armor. Mossad launched a parallel operation, tracking every move in and out of St. George's, rewinding months of security camera footage, cross-referencing mobile signals at specific times. A puzzle began to emerge, but for every answer, new questions appeared. Why had Maria lived in so many towns? Why did her accent subtly shift with different guests? Why did she avoid answering questions about her extended family, claiming that all been lost in the war? February 2018. Mossad intercepts a coded message from a Syrian border town, coordinates, names, dates. None directly tied to Maria, but several reference the charity she volunteers for. By April, the tempo increased. Maria grew more cautious, changing SIM cards, varying her routes to work, suddenly transferring large sums from the charity's accounts under the guise of emergency relief. Jacob nearly exposes himself, trying to plant a bug in her office. He fails, but records her making a cryptic phone call in perfect Farsi, not Arabic. The team realizes this is bigger than one agent. It's a network. June 2018, the first slip-up. Maria walks into a Maronite priest's office and recites an Orthodox prayer, a subtle but glaring error caught by sharp-eared parishioners, and therefore Mossad's linguistics expert. The team broadens their circle, cross-checking Christian and Shia records for similar anomalies. August. As Lebanese-Israeli border tensions flare, Mossad intercepts chilling plans. Hezbollah intends to move weapons using charity vehicles, with the apparent help of an insider who knows every checkpoint schedule. Maria, using a forged Vatican document, arranges for a relief convoy to cross into southern Lebanon, bypassing Hezbollah roadblocks and, unknowingly, Israeli surveillance. Each fragment adds to a mosaic, but hard proof remains elusive. Mossad must move. With a leak, shall disappear forever. But if they move too soon, they risk exposing their only valuable asset. Maria's deception begins long before she ever enters a church. Hezbollah's Unit 910, the organization's covert foreign operations wing, is infamous for transforming ordinary recruits into shape-shifting operatives who can disappear inside other cultures. Its training pipeline is slow and unforgiving, focused less on weapons and more on psychology, identity, and patience. For years, agents are immersed in environments that will later become their cover stories, absorbing social cues, religious rituals, and emotional scripts until the lie feels more natural than the truth. For Maria, this means her life is dismantled and rebuilt from the ground up. She is drilled on the idea that faith itself can be weaponized, not by attacking it, but by imitating it. In controlled safe houses, she studies Christian liturgy late into the night, repeating hymns and prayers until she can recite them with the same hesitation, the same broken cadence as someone who grew up with them. Handlers bring in real Christian families, sympathetic, unaware, or carefully vetted, so she can observe family dynamics, dinner table arguments, and the subtle ways belief shows up in everyday life. Over time, she learns not just what Christians say in church, but what they say when they are angry, grieving, or drunk. Unit 9. 110 instructors push her into deep cover simulations that last weeks at a time. She enrolls in church schools under assumed names, sits in religion classes, and is tested not on doctrine, but on how convincingly she reacts when a priest makes a joke, when a teacher misquotes scripture, when classmates gossip about sin and forgiveness. Any hint of overacting is punished. Any slip into her original accent is noted. They force her to live the legend, not just memorize it. During debriefings, psychologists deconstruct her performance, teaching her to control micro-expressions, regulate stress responses, and borrow real emotions from her past to power fake stories in the present. To shield her in multiple environments, Maria is trained to move fluidly between identities. She learns 3 dialects: the soft, local Lebanese Arabic of Christian towns, the more formal regional Arabic she will need at airports and official offices, and near-perfect French or English for Catholic and Protestant European circles. This linguistic layering lets her pass as both Eastern and Western Christian, shifting effortlessly from Maronite church slang to the polished vocabulary of a French-educated aid worker. In one setting, she is the village-born believer who crosses herself in the old way. In another, she is the cosmopolitan NGO professional who quotes Western theologians and talks about interfaith dialogue. Each dialect is tied to a slightly different posture, tempo of speech, even sense of humor, so that her entire body reinforces the story her words are telling. All of this feeds into her legend, a spy's fabricated biography so carefully engineered it can withstand years of scrutiny. Unit 910 builds this legend like an architect designs a fortress: multiple layers, redundant supports, and plausible scars. Her backstory includes a hometown parish that actually exists, a childhood school whose staff remember a girl like her, and documented travel that matches moments she will later describe in casual conversation. There are baptism records, faded family photos, and social media traces seeded years in advance, just enough to satisfy curious acquaintances or suspicious officials. Every name she drops, every holiday she claims to have celebrated, can be partially verified without ever leading back to Hezbollah. What nobody around her realizes is that this life, her friends, her faith, her pain, is not a spontaneous accumulation of memories, but a long-term psychological operation constructed step by step so that by the time she walks into a real church, even she can almost believe that Maria is who she was always meant to be. Identity construction. Fake baptismal records, falsified photos, and doctored paperwork were only the beginning. Hezbollah had inside contacts within Lebanon's civil registry, enabling Maria to acquire birth certificates and passports matching her Christian alias. Psychological consistency was key. She rehearsed tragic family stories dozens of times, down to the pauses, to avoid detection. Tradecraft. Maria used classic KGB-inspired methods: dead drops, burner phones, post-event meetings, and encrypted signals via church notice boards. Her main innovation was using religious charity events as cover for information exchanges, assuming security agencies would overlook anything performed in a sacred context. Counter-surveillance. She employed random routes, never repeated patterns, and changed physical appearance depending on the event, even subtly altering accent with different groups. She was known for her kindness, generosity, and sharp wit, traits calculated to deflect suspicion. Operational security. Whenever she received a suspected tale, she would confess to Father Antoine, using confessional privilege to mask coded updates to her handlers. She plotted the charity's route schedules using pen and paper, always burned afterward. Hezbollah's broader technique was to embed ghosts, agents who appeared so deeply woven into their adopted communities that betraying them would spark a social scandal. The agency counted on local Christians to vouch for her identity, knowing that any Israeli operation would have to make the case airtight. Mossad's counter techniques were equally intricate. Their linguistics team built a voice print, analyzing every sermon and interview Maria gave for slips in accent or borrowed phrases from Shia regions. Their digital analysts crunched terabytes of call data from St. George Cross, referencing every suspected interaction with patterns from known Hezbollah handlers. Behavioral analysts used subtle stress tests, having Jacob ask Maria about obscure Maronite saints, watching for micro-reactions, searching for anything a real believer couldn't fake. Weeks were spent dissecting the moments when Mariah's kindness turned to steel, her mask slipping when discussing certain political topics, or her sudden evasiveness during audits. Each side was matching wits, pushing the limits of deception and detection, turning religion, supposed to be the last refuge of trust, into another battlefield. The summer of 2018 brought the first twist. Mossad's own legend almost unraveled. Jacob was shadowed leaving St. George, briefly picked up by Hezbollah minders. The threat level soared. One wrong move, and not only Maria, but all Mossad assets in Beirut faced exposure. But then, an unexpected phone tap. Maria, thinking she was safe, calls her sister in southern Lebanon. The call is intercepted by Israeli SIGINT. She slips into a dialect not native to her supposed Christian origins. The conversation is short, tense, but contains references: Uncle's Farm, the Red Gate, coded phrases matching Hezbollah's playbook. That same week, Israeli analysts discover financial irregularities tied to the relief convoy. The charity's account manager is found dead, suicide. Suddenly, the operation turns deadly. The message is clear. Hezbollah will protect its ghosts at any cost. Caught between two fires, Mossad's team debates whether to act quickly or wait for more proof. Eitan, haunted by past failures, gambles everything. He leaks an anonymized tip to the Lebanese internal security forces, hinting at corruption inside Christian charities, buying time while Mossad quietly tightens its net. The final twist comes when Maria, tipped off by a Hezbollah insider about the security probe, prepares to flee Beirut. But her forged documents are already compromised. Mossad, months earlier, had flagged her new passport for an urgent update at the civil registry. At the last checkpoint out of the city, Maria's alias triggers a secret alert, giving Mossad a window of hours to close the case. Night falls. In the shadow of the city, Maria slips into the side exit of St. George's, clutching a bag containing cash, a rosary, and an encrypted phone. She believes her escape is minutes away, but waiting in the darkness, Mossad's local agents, disguised as volunteers, wait just out of the church's warm glow. As Maria steps out, the world seems to freeze. A dozen emotions flicker across her face: confusion, calculation, resolve. But she doesn't run. Instead, she walks, head held high, toward the edge of the courtyard. A single call. The van door creaks open. She is silently swarmed, subdued, and extracted before the city wakes. No shots, no shouts. Less than a minute later, the evidence left behind. Her prayer slips, half-burned maps, a list of cross-border contacts, kickstarts a chain of arrests across the region. In her first interrogation, Maria says nothing. She glares at her Mossad handler, denying everything. Only under intense psychological pressure does she finally break, confessing not just to infiltration, but identifying 3 other Hezbollah moles embedded in Christian territory. Her composure collapses. On the other side of the glass, Eitan whispers to his team, "We have a ghost. Now we hunt the rest." The fallout is immediate and far-reaching. Israel's government issues a vague statement about neutralizing a serious threat. Lebanese Christians panic as rumors swirl about charity leaders vanishing overnight. Mass resignations ripple through relief organizations, and priests demand explanations from the pulpit. Within weeks, Hezbollah attempts to spin the story as Israeli propaganda. But with 3 more agents exposed, their Western-facing legends begin to crumble. Several safe Christian charities close doors, and civil registry officials with ties to Moriah's forged papers are quietly removed, questioned, or disappeared. Inside Mossad, the success is bittersweet. Jacob must disappear, his legend burned, his years of patient work discarded for safety. Eitan faces a review, some praise, some critique, for risking local alliances by using religion as bait. But the world takes notice. Western intelligence agencies, stunned by the details uncovered, scramble to vet their own immigrant and aid networks for similar Hezbollah patterns. The Vatican quietly upgrades charity background checks in Europe and the Middle East. For Lebanon's Christian community, the betrayal stings. Trust fractures as leaders warn about spies among us, further straining sectarian relations. Paranoia grows, but for Mossad, the war has entered a new era. No one, it seems, can be above suspicion, not even those who kneel to pray each morning. The operation exposes more than a single agent. It reveals the new face of Middle Eastern espionage, no longer defined by ideological zealots or gun runners alone, but by deeply embedded, culturally fluent operatives able to manipulate generational religious animosities for strategic advantage. For years, Israel and Hezbollah operated as bitter enemies along battle lines both visible and invisible. Now, both must come to terms with a world where ghosts can rewrite faith and identity, slip unnoticed across borders, and use humanitarian cover to mask deadly ambition. Mossad's methods, painstaking, patient, and quietly ruthless, signal a warning to adversaries and allies alike. Psychological complexity, not brute force, now rules the game. But there's a cost. The blurring of sacred and secular lines threatens to poison the wells of trust in humanitarian and religious spaces, making real charity work harder and throwing communities into cycles of mutual suspicion. Intelligence communities around the globe must regroup, recalibrate, and evolve, knowing that today's Maria may be tomorrow's headline, no matter the flag or faith. This story is more than a tale of masks and fake prayers. It's a stark warning about the invisible wars shaping our world, wars that don't always make headlines, but slowly erode the lines between trust and betrayal, faith and fanaticism, security and surveillance. As you finish this investigation, consider this: how much of what we believe about our communities, our charities, even our faith, is built on what we want to see rather than what's really there? How many ghosts move through our lives, their stories flawless, their faces familiar, until the truth shatters everything? In the end, Mossad's greatest victory came not from violence, but from unmasking the power of deception itself. And for everyone, spies, priests, agents, and the ordinary believers caught in between, it's a reminder that in the age of infinite masks, the search for truth is both the most dangerous and the most necessary calling of all.